The twin suns hung low over the jagged mountains of the distant planet, casting long shadows over the red, rocky terrain. The wind blew dry and sharp across the empty plains, carrying the faint scent of alien flora. Among the sparse brush and twisted stone, a figure moved slowly, cautiously. Naya, once a proud Apache tracker and explorer, had learned to adapt to this alien world with skill few others could match. But she moved differently now. The accident on the last planetary survey had left her paralyzed from the waist down. Where she had once sprinted and climbed without effort, she now relied on a specially made rig and her sharp mind to navigate the terrain. Naya had lived among the settlers of the colony for many years. At first, they had admired her skills, her intuition, and her bravery. She had tracked dangerous alien beasts, helped build shelters in impossible places, and had taught others to read the weather signs of this harsh world. But her accident had changed their opinion. A sharp fall while surveying a cliff had shattered more than bones. It had shattered the fragile respect some of the colonists had for her. When she returned to the settlement, dragging herself and her tools back with her modified rig, whispers followed her like shadows. Some claimed she was a danger to herself and others. Others said her injury was a shame and made the settlers weaker. The council met in secret, debating what to do with her. Naya had overheard some of them, her keen ears catching the words they hoped she would not hear. Can she still contribute? One voice had asked, bitter and doubtful. She will need constant care, another replied. It's too much for the settlement. They say she is a burden. She should be removed before she brings trouble. Naya had remained silent, her jaw tight, her eyes cold. But inside a fire burned. She knew she could survive. She had faced predators on Earth and on this alien world. She had endured storms and scarcity. She had learned to adapt to impossible odds. If the settlers could not see her worth, that was their weakness, not hers. A few days later, she was cast out. The council delivered the decree coldly. They handed her a few supplies, water, dried alien food, and basic tools, and told her she was no longer welcome. Naya gathered her things silently, hiding the anger that roared inside. She wheeled herself to the edge of the settlement and paused to look back one last time. Faces peered from windows, some curious, some hostile, some ashamed. But none offered help. None offered understanding. She did not cry. She did not plead. She simply turned away and rolled into the unknown. The first nights outside the settlement were the hardest. The alien winds howled like wild creatures, cutting against her skin and her rig. Predators moved silently in the distance, their eyes glowing faintly in the twin moonlight. Naya had learned long ago to read tracks, to anticipate danger before it arrived. She built small traps and barriers around her makeshift camp, using rocks and debris. She fashioned simple alarms from alien plants that rattled when touched. Her body might be limited, but her mind remained sharp, alert, and alive. She foraged during the days, moving from one area to another, testing the terrain and learning what the land could offer. She discovered edible plants with strange blue fruits, roots that grew deep under the rocks, and small animals that were both cautious and clever. Naya's skills turned survival into a puzzle she was eager to solve. She learned to move her rig over rocky ridges, sometimes using pulleys and vines to help lift it where gravity threatened to trap her. By the end of the first week, she had a small network of paths and shelters that allowed her to move efficiently, even without walking. Despite the hardships, she did not lose hope. Each sunset reminded her of the beauty of the world she now navigated alone. She watched alien birds with crystal-like feathers glide between jagged cliffs. She listened to the calls of distant beasts, strange but rhythmic, almost musical. She sketched everything she saw in a small journal, documenting her discoveries and innovations. Each page was a testament to her resilience, a record that she would survive and thrive no matter what others thought. It was on the 7th night that she noticed something unusual. Smoke rose from a ridge nearby, not thick or threatening, but small, controlled. Someone had built a fire, though she could not see who. Naya froze, listening. The wind shifted, carrying the faint scent of someone human. She knew she was not alone. Her first instinct was caution. She was vulnerable. She could not outrun anyone, not yet, and she could not afford to trust easily. But she also knew curiosity would not allow her to ignore the signs. Over the next few days, she observed the ridge from a distance. The fire returned every evening, and occasionally she saw a shadow move near it. No one approached her. No one left signs that they knew she was there. Whoever it was seemed careful, quiet, respectful. Then one morning, Naya found a bundle near her camp. At first, she feared it was a trap, but inside she discovered supplies, water, alien fruits, and some basic tools that could help her mobility. The items were left without a note, without explanation, as though someone wanted to help without being seen. Naya's suspicion slowly turned to curiosity. She began to look for patterns, paths left in the sand, marks on the rocks, the way the smoke rose. A few days later, she finally saw him. A man quiet, tall, and lean, tending to a small ranch not far from her camp. He moved with calm efficiency, not shouting or drawing attention to himself. His eyes scanned the land with care, and he seemed to notice things others missed. Subtle tracks, small disturbances in the terrain, minor shifts in the plants. Naya watched him for hours, making sure he posed no threat. He carried no weapons openly, moved silently, and treated the alien creatures around him with respect. This was Eli, the quiet rancher whose reputation was known among some settlements as a man who helped those cast aside or ignored. Naya realized that she might finally have someone who saw her for who she was, not what others thought she should be. The first encounter was cautious. Eli approached slowly, carrying a bundle similar to the ones left at her camp. Naya did not move from her position. She waited, every muscle tense. When he spoke, his voice was soft but steady. "I know you're there," he said. "I don't mean harm. I just want to help." Naya studied him. His eyes were calm, unjudging. There was no pity, no condescension, only understanding. She spoke after a long pause, her voice quiet but firm. "I don't need charity," she said. Eli nodded. "I'm not offering charity. I'm offering help. You don't have to live like this alone." Something in her chest shifted. For the first time since being cast out, she felt the faint stirrings of hope. She considered his offer, weighing it carefully. Trust had not come easily to her, but Eli's actions had already spoken louder than words. Over the next few days, she allowed him to leave more supplies and eventually to approach her camp. They spoke about survival, about the land, about alien flora and fauna. Naya found his knowledge practical and wise. He did not ask her to be dependent. Instead, he treated her as an equal, someone whose intelligence and skills mattered. By the end of the week, Naya had made a decision. She would accept his offer, not because she needed saving, but because she recognized a rare opportunity. A place where she could continue to live, to learn, and to thrive, without the burden of judgment from those who could not see her worth. The journey to Eli's ranch was not easy. She had to navigate rocky terrain and deep gullies, her rig adjusted and supplemented by Eli's guidance. He moved beside her, patient and steady, offering support without overstepping. Naya realized that this quiet rancher, who had watched her from afar and offered help with no expectation, was someone she could trust. When they arrived, she saw a ranch unlike any she had imagined. It was simple, functional, and carefully designed to coexist with the alien land. Shelters, fences, and pens for alien animals were arranged with precision and care. The terrain was adapted to allow movement and survival even in harsh conditions. Eli led her to a specially prepared living area, accessible and safe, yet open to the beauty of the alien world outside. As Naya settled in, she felt a rare sense of peace. The past, the rejection, the whispers of shame, they were still there in memory, but the future looked different. She could begin again, not just surviving, but thriving. And for the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to smile. In the quiet of the ranch, with the alien sun setting behind the mountains and the faint sounds of creatures in the distance, Naya realized something important. Strength was not only in the body, it was in the mind, in the spirit, and in the courage to keep going even when the world turned its back. She had survived alone, and now, with Eli by her side, she had the chance to prove that human spirit could not be measured by others' judgments. The first night at the ranch, as Naya gazed at the stars above, she whispered quietly to herself, "I am still here. I am still strong, and I will not be forgotten." And for the first time in a long while, the harsh winds and alien cries felt less like threats and more like a reminder that life, no matter how difficult, was worth living. The morning sun rose slowly over the alien plains, casting golden light across Eli's ranch. Naya sat in her adapted living area, stretching her arms and adjusting her rig. The first night had been quiet but full of thought. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe and capable. The harsh judgment of the settlement felt like a distant memory. replaced by a calm sense of purpose. Eli appeared at the doorway, carrying a basket of supplies. "Morning," he said quietly. His calm voice had become something like an anchor for Naya, steady and reassuring. "I thought we could start with the animals today. There's a new group of alien grazer beasts near the East Ridge. They might need some guidance into the pens before the storms hit next week." Naya nodded. She had observed these creatures from a distance before. They were large, slow-moving, and wary, with thick hides and long, curved horns. In the settlement, many had feared them, claiming they were dangerous. But Naya had learned long ago that understanding a creature often mattered more than fear. They moved together slowly, Eli walking beside her as she maneuvered her rig across the rocky terrain. The alien wind tugged at her hair and clothing, but she felt alive. She studied the creatures carefully, noting their patterns, their sounds, and how they reacted to each other. Using a series of whistles, gestures, and a few simple tools, she began to guide them toward the pens. Eli watched, quietly impressed, and offered only occasional advice. By noon, the creatures were secure, and Naya felt a quiet satisfaction. She had done what many thought impossible: controlled, guided, and cared for these massive animals while paralyzed. Eli smiled at her, not with pity but with genuine admiration. "You have a way with them," he said simply. Naya shrugged. "They respond to respect, not fear." They spent the afternoon improving the ranch itself. Naya suggested modifications for accessibility, using vines and pulleys to lift supplies, and creating raised platforms for observation and work. Eli implemented her ideas, often asking questions and learning from her ingenuity. Slowly, the ranch transformed under their combined effort, not only functional but also thriving, a testament to their partnership. News from the settlement eventually reached them, though it came indirectly. Traders and travelers spoke in hushed tones about the paralyzed woman surviving outside, managing animals, and living independently. Many were shocked, unable to understand how she could thrive when the settlement's council had deemed her a burden. Naya heard whispers, but she ignored them. Her life now belonged to her own choices, not the judgments of others. One evening, a violent storm approached. Alien clouds, dark as obsidian, swirled across the sky, bringing fierce winds and strange icy rain. Eli moved quickly to secure animals and reinforce shelters, while Naya adapted her rig and prepared tools for emergency use. The storm was unlike anything she had encountered before: sharp winds that could tip over even the strongest structures, and lightning that cracked across the alien sky in terrifying arcs. As the storm hit, they worked together tirelessly. Naya guided animals to safer areas, moved supplies with her rig, and adjusted barriers to protect livestock. Eli watched her with a mixture of awe and concern, amazed at her ability to remain calm and efficient despite her physical limitations. When lightning struck near a pen, Naya quickly assessed the situation and redirected the animals using a combination of sound signals and movement. Her mind raced, solving each problem with precision. After hours, the storm finally began to subside. Both were exhausted, soaked to the bone, but the ranch had survived. Naya felt a surge of pride. Not only had she endured the storm, but she had helped protect life and property, proof of her strength, intelligence, and courage. Eli patted her shoulder gently. "You did incredible work today. You saved this place." Naya smiled faintly. "I didn't do it alone. You were here too." Their bond deepened after that day. Eli trusted her judgment completely, and Naya relied on his steady presence for support when needed. They began to expand the ranch's operations, experimenting with cultivating alien plants and breeding smaller animals. Naya's careful observation led to innovations that Eli had never considered, and together, they created a system that could sustain life even in harsh conditions. The settlement, meanwhile, faced new challenges. Crops failed in several areas, and predators moved closer to their borders. Some colonists began to speak of Naya, not as a burden, but as an example. A few daring individuals even attempted to visit the ranch to learn from her methods, though most were cautious, still held back by lingering prejudice. Naya received them with quiet dignity, teaching them what she had learned about survival, adaptability, and respect for alien life. One day, a young scout arrived at the ranch, exhausted and worried. "The settlement is in trouble," he said. "Predators are attacking livestock. Crops are failing. They need your help." Naya studied him carefully. She could have ignored them. She had no obligation to return, but something inside her stirred. She had been cast out once, shamed for being injured, and she had survived alone. Now, with skills honed and confidence regained, she realized she could make a difference beyond the ranch. Eli supported her decision. "If you want to help, I'll help you plan," he said. "You don't have to do it alone." Together, they devised a plan. Naya trained a small team of settlers who were willing to listen, teaching them methods to protect livestock, cultivate resilient crops, and understand predator behavior. They shared her knowledge of alien terrain, her techniques for adaptation, and her approach to problem-solving. Slowly, the settlement began to recover. They were astonished at the results, and whispers of shame toward Naya transformed into admiration and respect. But Naya did not seek recognition. She had learned that true strength was quiet, steady, and effective. Her focus remained on survival, learning, and sharing knowledge when it could help others. Eli continued to support her quietly, his presence a constant reassurance that she was not alone in her efforts. As months passed, the ranch became a hub of innovation and learning. Travelers, settlers, and even alien allies came to witness the remarkable partnership between the paralyzed Apache woman and the quiet rancher. Naya's methods became legendary, not for flashiness but for their practicality, efficiency, and respect for life. She proved that human intelligence and resilience could overcome prejudice, physical limitations, and the harshest environments. One afternoon, as the twin suns set, Naya and Eli sat together atop a small hill overlooking the ranch. The air was calm, the animals safe, and the crops thriving. Naya's eyes followed the patterns of the land she had helped shape, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "I never thought I'd find a place like this," she said quietly. Eli smiled. "You made it. You survived, adapted, and thrived, and you helped others do the same. That's what matters." Naya thought of the settlement that had cast her out, of the whispers of shame that had once followed her. She felt no anger, only a quiet satisfaction. She had proven something more important than their approval. She had proven to herself and to the universe that strength was measured by courage, determination, and heart, not by what others thought of her. That night under the alien sky, Naya recorded her experiences in her journal. She wrote of storms survived, creatures understood, and lessons learned. Each page was a testament to resilience and ingenuity. She wrote not for recognition but to remember, to teach, and to inspire. Eli watched her quietly, understanding that the woman beside him had become more than a survivor. She was a leader, a thinker, and a symbol of human spirit. Together, they had created a place where prejudice held no power, where innovation and care could flourish, and where life, even in the most alien of worlds, was cherished. The final test came unexpectedly. A sudden predator attack threatened the ranch at night. Dozens of alien beasts, larger and more aggressive than any before, approached the fences. Naya's quick thinking and calm assessment allowed her to guide the animals into secure pens, while using her tools to divert the predators. Eli aided her, but it was her leadership, knowledge, and strategy that saved the ranch. The settlers who had once doubted her arrived afterward, stunned at the efficiency and bravery she had displayed. For the first time, Naya allowed herself to feel pride in the way the settlement and the ranch had become intertwined. They no longer saw her as a burden nor as a shame. They saw her as a person of unmatched intelligence, courage, and resilience. Eli placed a hand on her shoulder. "You've changed everything here," he said, "not by force or anger, but by showing what you can do." Naya looked across the ranch at the thriving animals, the growing crops, and the settlers now willing to learn. She smiled, a quiet, satisfied smile. "I didn't just survive," she said. "I proved that we can thrive, if we respect life, adapt, and never give up." The twin suns set once more over the mountains, bathing the ranch in warm light. Naya felt the wind on her face, the steady rhythm of life around her, and the unwavering presence of Eli beside her. She had been cast out, judged, and shamed, but now she stood strong, a testament to the human spirit. Resilient, capable, and unbroken. The ranch, the animals, the settlers, and the alien land itself were all part of her legacy, and Naya knew deep in her heart that she had finally found a place where she truly belonged. Not because others had accepted her, but because she had never